Business Saturday.
Welcome to Small Business Saturdays video series with your host and my husband.
And my dad, Aaron Montgomery.
Join the conversation.
Let's talk some business.
Good morning, everybody. How are you? Good Saturday morning to y'all. Happy Small Business Saturday, as usual, here on Saturday morning. So today I wanted to talk to you guys about Google ranking and specifically Google's mobile ranking. So if you are tuning in live this morning, I'd love to get your questions, comments, feedback, all that kind of fun stuff. Here to kind of enjoy a fun conversation. So let's dive right in, though. I think this will be a good time. And I think I've got a comment coming in here. I'm getting some sort of a sign. Cheryl, good morning. Thank you. Hopefully you're having a great Saturday already. I hope your live yesterday was awesome too. I got a chance to be on with Cheryl earlier in the week, and it was awesome. Her amazing group over there is Sublimation for Beginners and Beyond, is just one of the many groups that she manages. So make sure that you go and check those out. That you have to apply to be in there. So answer all the questions. Otherwise, you're just automatically kicked out. She's got a lot to manage over there. I don't remember the number, but I'm pretty sure it's in the high 10,000s. So Cheryl, remind us how many people are in that group if you can. But all right, well, let's dive into this. Let's talk about Google and mobile ranking and how that affects our websites. And sorry, just saw some hand movements. Everything okay over there? My lovely wife is helping me out as usual. She's amazing and just got back from boot camp too. So incredible. And someday I want to grow up and be like her. But all right, so let's talk about Google Mobile first and what that means for all of us that have websites. This month, Google is rolling out what they call mobile first ranking. And basically what that means is that they now are operating based on two different, so basically when you go to Google, there's two different search engines that they're running. The first one would be, what you get to when you're on your desktop and the search that goes on there and all of the classic SEO stuff that's built over time, and your website is ranked based on that. But now they're separating that out and they're going to rank mobile websites separately from desktop websites. So what that means to us is that we now very much have to make sure that we are mobile friendly, because the mobile is really what they're working towards. So you could show up in a search for keywords that you're interested in people finding you for one place on the desktop and not show up at all on the mobile side if your site's not mobilely optimized. So the other change that is kind of taking place here that's kind of a big deal for us is that Google's now gone ahead and said, we get more traffic via mobile now than we used to, and more people are going via the mobile side of things. So we are going to base all of our rankings, especially the stuff on the mobile side, based on your mobile website and how those things fall in. And so basically they're saying now you should design your website based on what's happening on the mobile side first, and then your desktop side, you can kind of grow it from there, expand it from there. But that minimalistic, easy to use, fast load mobile site should be what you concern yourself with most when you're designing your website or your developers designing your website. So if you have somebody working on this or you're using a software program out there, the questions you need to be asking them is, what is their mobile friendliness? So basically mobile, because it's the primary way, Google's also come out and said that if your mobile site doesn't load in 2 to 3 seconds, 53% of all visitors will click away from it if it has not loaded in 2 to 3 seconds. So that's over half of all the visits that you get will be lost if you're not mobilely optimized. So let's talk a little bit about what mobile friendly is. So if you don't know what that means, that's totally understandable. But basically, and I'm going to see if I can get this loaded up. Okay, so I'm going to show you something on the site here. And Got a quick question. Oh, Trudy, good morning. Hello, how are you? Good to see you this morning. And Jan, good morning. You guys are awesome. Thank you guys for spending a little time with me on Saturday. Oh, Cheryl, you're awesome. Just posted in the group. So we are going to get even more visitors. Teresa, good morning. Everybody's checking in. I love it and I appreciate it. And hopefully I'm going to be able to help you guys a little bit with what you're working on. So I think we're good there. Okay, so let's talk about what mobile friendly is. So I'm going to go to, if you guys are on a desktop, head over to tworegularguys.com and just look at how that webpage looks. But then I'm going to show you how it looks here on a mobile. So this is the mobile version of our website. And as you can see, everything is condensed down. The menus move. So see if I can do this in reverse. So see how the kind of menu moves there. And then the other thing is when I go to the navigation menus, it should be easy to touch with my fingers. You know, if you got to think about the people with the big fingers and things like that. So that's kind of basically what mobile friendly means. But how do you truly know if mobile friendly is actually what your site is? And actually Google gives you a tool. Google's great about this. They give you an easy to use tool. So if you just go to Google and you type in mobile friendly test, up pops the a little box here that says mobile friendly, and we'll type in Two Regular Guys. And not great video, but here we go. Okay, it's searching. Oh, it wants me to pick out the traffic signals to prove that I'm a human. This is why I don't use Safari, but I'm using my wife's phone and she has Safari. So anyhow, it's analyzing, as you can see. All right, we'll let that go for a second. So basically, this is going to tell us, it's going to give us, and there we go. It says this page is mobile friendly. And then there's additional resources. It'll tell you what things you can do to improve and so on and so forth. So that's a great way to do it. The next way, and I'm going to have Kathleen pop up a link here. It's the W3C, which is the Web Consortium folks. They've got a tool, and if you go to mobile.css/validator.org, that will also check to see if your page is mobile friendly, and it gives you a ton more information, a lot more data about things that you can do to improve. So that's the first thing you need to do. You need to go out and make sure that your site's mobile friendly and check those things out, and then start making those incremental changes that they share with you both on this verification piece or the W3C piece. So that's the first thing you want to do. The next thing we want to do, if for some reason you get there and you're not mobile friendly, or it's not even finding a mobile site, which that may happen to a lot of us, you want to go and check the Google Search Console and make sure that that's all set up correctly. That's kind of a longer, bigger picture story, so I'm not going to get it too deep into that today, but there's plenty of things out there. Reach out to me, Aaron at montcoconsulting.com, and we will, I'll share some other information there, or sign up for my newsletter. There will be links in there. But you want to make sure that that Google knows, okay, here's where to go for mobile, here's where to go for your desktop, so on and so forth, and that way Google is going to the right places. So that's the second thing you want to do after you check if you're mobile friendly. The next thing that's also important, not necessarily specifically related to mobile, but all kind of in the bigger picture of things, is that Google has also said, hey, we also want to make sure that your site is secure. The privacy is a big hot button issue right now. And so if your sites are not secure, they're moving those down in the rankings. So it's their initiative for the HTTPS, which is secure sites. So you want to make sure that your website is secure. I use a service called SiteGround, and I will post a link in the comments later on about that. So you can go find them, but you basically just have to pay for a security certificate and make sure that your site's following all the privacy laws that are out there. So that's the third thing. The fourth thing that is important to be doing here with your website is to avoid JavaScripts as much as possible. JavaScripts are basically a computer language that was used early on, and I'm laughing because my Alexa here just heard me say computer, which is what I have her set to, and she's lighting up on me. But anyways, that's a whole different story. And voice search is something we should talk about later on, but we won't get to that today. All right, so JavaScript is basically a computer language that was used for your web browsers to do some actions in the background. So maybe it's a search, or maybe it's bringing up this, or whatever the case may be. And it was great when we were all on desktop because there was only a couple of different options. You know, you had Internet Explorer, Google Chrome, Firefox, and you could test your JavaScript on those very easily and make sure that they all behaved the same way. Well, nowadays, because of mobile and because of everything else going on, there are tons of different browsers out there, all sorts of different ways that you got Safari now on iOS, you've got Android systems and all these other things. And what happens with JavaScript, A, it's really slow to load, and B, it doesn't behave the same way on all the sites. So, you know, your ranking a lot of times depends on people getting to your site and then what they do once they get there. If they get there and it doesn't load and they leave, that brings your ranking down. If they get there and they click through a bunch of stuff and they are on it for a long time, that actually brings your ranking up. So if your JavaScript is not working the way they want it and they're just going to leave, then you're going to have problems. So JavaScript, try to get rid of as much of it as you can. If any of the plugins or different things that you're using within your website use JavaScript, talk to the developers about changing over to a different way to pull up that information. So that's the fourth thing. The fifth thing, and if there's any questions here, I'm just about towards the end here, so please feel free to ask any questions. I'm kind of going over some high-level stuff, and hopefully that'll get your wheels spinning on this. I'm going to give you some resources here to get some additional help if this is something you really want to dive into. But the fifth thing here is I kind of talked about it already, but the speed. And the speed of the way your web page loads on mobile is really important. And typically what takes the longest to load are all of the images. You know, we as in our industry, we want really nice, clean, beautiful images and stuff like that. And that's great. But the problem is that your mobile, you know, you're on 4G or 5G or whatever, you know, that's not very quick. And so these big, huge images, even if they show up really small on the mobile site, if they're big where they're stored, it is going to basically have to load all of that information, all of that huge, you know, multiple megabit file. So what you want to do is you want to either make sure that you're optimizing your image all the way down to the smallest 72 DPI at the size you want it to be on your site. And you can do that all manually if you want, or for a couple bucks a month, about $8, $9, you can use some services that would be out there. I'm going to put some links in my email newsletter that's going out to some different services that I like for doing image optimization. And basically it takes the images you upload, it grabs them, compresses them down as small as they can go, makes them the right size, and then gets rid of the big ones and only links to the small ones. So your mobile sites will go through, pick that image up, and that increases your speed huge. In fact, I did some tests earlier on my site, went before and after this thing, and I went from being in like the 35th percentile of speed, and you're trying for 100. I was 35. I did the image optimization, and it took, you know, it cost me $9, and it took about the first time around, because I had a lot of them, it took about 45 minutes for it to process all of them. But 45 minutes later, when I ran the test again, I was at 93 as far as my page load speed. So that's a huge thing that you can do. So those are the 5 main points. If there's any questions, I'm happy to kind of get to those things right now. So go ahead and post them up there. We'll see if there's anything fun and worth noting. Not quite yet, but one place I do want to let you know about. So a lot of this information, not all of it, but kind of what got me thinking about this was an email I got from a friend of mine over at a company called Red Canoe. It's local here to the St. Louis area, but this is what he does. And we've got a link up in the video here. If you go to redcanoemedia.com and check him out, his name's Will. Tell him that Aaron Montgomery sent you. And he can help a ton. In fact, I'm going to be using him. You know, I've got my stuff as far as I can do personally. I'm not a website developer. I know just enough to be dangerous here. But if this is the key, you've got to know enough information to know what you're talking about, and then go find the right experts to help you with that. It's okay to spend a little bit of money with these people and allow them to help you get to that next step. You can't be a master of all of these things as a small business owner. It's just never going to be feasible. You need to stick with what you're passionate about. We've talked about this in other videos, your why and all this other stuff, but it's worth going to. So check Will out over at redcanoemedia.com. Again, a lot of this information was stuff that I gleaned from reading some of his stuff and just kind of checking things out and doing my own research and whatnot. So there we go. If there's any questions, we've got one here. Ron, good to see you. Hopefully you're doing well out there. Thank you for checking in this morning. And Jan says, time to get my spirit store back online. Thanks for the tips. I never thought about it. Oh, you're very welcome. I'm excited. Jan, what's your spirit store website if you have it? I'd love to share it with everybody because I want to check it out and see. And Cheryl says, I would love to have some help creating mine. Cheryl, absolutely. I'm happy to kind of give you as many resources and stuff like that. I know we've talked about it in the past. So, once you figure out which way you want to head with it. But these are really good questions to be asking the people, if you're trying to build and I'm not using Cheryl's example right here, but I'm talking for everybody in general. If you're trying to build a site that maybe has a designer on it, or, it's an e-commerce site or something like that, it's real important that you're asking these questions about mobile. You don't have to know exactly everything about it, but they need to be able to say, yes, we are secure. Yes, we are mobile friendly, mobile optimized. Yes, you're going to get these kinds of speeds, those kinds of things. Jan said schoolspiritonline.com. So definitely check that out, folks. And hopefully we'll see that progress. But Jan, if there's any questions I can answer, if I don't know the answer, everybody that knows me knows that I will find the answer though. So I've kind of settled on the fact that my strength is as a connector. So that's what I'm going to continue focusing on. So awesome stuff. Can create an alternative to school booster clubs. That's awesome. That's a huge thing. And we're getting ready to go back into the school year here, already getting emails from my son's school about supply drop off and all sorts of things like that. And there will be shirts to be bought. So definitely you should be on top of that now and doing it in the dog days of summer here. So, okay, well, let's get connected up here. So if you go to my website, aaronmontgomery.info/get-connected. People were wanting to just buy items on their time, Jan says. Yep, absolutely. And I think that's huge, Jan. That's a really great point, is that, we can go to the drop off or go to school and there's the table with all the shirts and stuff like that. But you know what? Me personally, I love my son's school. It's an amazing place. The teachers are awesome. He learns a lot. He loves it. And we are just blessed to have an awesome school. And I would love to, be sporting a phone case that has the Mid-River Elementary Wolves on it or things like that. So, give people an opportunity. And then if you can give part of that back to the school to continue to help them, they're always very underfunded. It seems like the principal at our school is more of a fundraiser than anything. Poor guy. It seems like that's what he's always working on, but he's working hard to make sure our kids have what they need. And if we can give a little back by having some cool swag, nothing wrong with that. So, all right. I think that should cover us for today. If there's any other questions or comments or anything like that, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I loved having you this morning. But if you'll go to my site, aaronmontgomery.info/get-connected, that'll sign you up for my newsletter. And I've been promising it for the last 2 weeks and I have not delivered yet, but I feel like this is the week. And what's great about this here is that I'm going to, some of the stuff that we talked about here today that I didn't get a chance to give you links to, I will put links in that email. So only for those of you signed up for my email will you get the information to go deeper into this topic today. All right. Anything else, Kylene? Are we good? She's giving me the okay. I did a good job. Thank you guys so much. Have a wonderful Saturday, and we will catch you again next week.